There we go. Good morning. I'd like to call the first session of the 131st Annual Conference and Convention of the Maryland State Firemen's Association to order.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Morning. I want to say, first of all, thanks for coming here. I know the chief's behind me that's going to say it, but we really mean it here in Ocean City. It means a lot. You guys are probably our biggest convention with numbers, and it means an awful lot. It keeps our taxes down, and we really appreciate that. So second, I want to share something with you. I went to a party last night. I know we go to parties. And I was looking around at how many people were sunburned. We call it strawberries in Ocean City, walking strawberries. Be careful of the sun out there. For some of us that have had skin disorders from the sun, we know what it can cause and what it can do to you. So be careful and cognizant of this sun. I know it's the beginning of the summer, but I saw an awful lot of people sunburn last night, and it ruins your vacation. The last thing I want to say is safety is just like volunteering. It makes you feel good when you do good. So remember that. The next time you see the word volunteer, think of safety, think of your surroundings, but remember, it makes you feel good to do good. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mike, for the very good message. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in prayer. Almighty God, as we gather here in Ocean City for the 131st Annual Convention, we ask that your presence be with us. Father, we thank you for the officers who have served the association this past year. We thank you for the committee chairs and the committee members who have worked diligently for the betterment of the fire service throughout the state. Father, we thank you for the President Kurtz and his leadership, and for Amelia Dalton for her leadership with the Ladies Auxiliary. Father, as we gather here, we ask you to be with us, to do the business of the association, to keep calm heads, to look out for one another, and look after our friendships and fellowships with one another. Father, we lift up the President of the United States, our governor, all of our senators, congressmen, delegates, for their wisdom and direction. And Father, most importantly, we lift up our firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs who are answering the calls of those in need. We ask for protection and guidance for them. And most importantly of all, Father, look after our military folks serving around the world, protecting our freedoms, allowing us to be here this week. Father God, we ask all this in your precious name. Amen. Will the past presidents please take their positions? Stand, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the presidents of the Maryland State Firemen's Association and the Ladies Auxiliary. President Benjamin Kurtz, escorted by Tina Cartwright, and Malia Dalton, escorted by Frank Underwood.
Please be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know you all have the urge to pay your proper respects, but to enjoy the pipes and drums of the Maryland Fire Service Pipe and Drum Band, please remain seated so that everybody can enjoy the show and the pageantry of the pipes and drums, and we'll rise again for the presentation of our American flag. Thank you. Pipe Major. There you go. It doesn't get any better than that. The Maryland Fire Service Pipes and Drums. And now would you all please rise for the presentation of our nation's colors, presented by the Maryland Fire Service Honor Guards. Honor Guard Commander, at your discretion. Our national anthem this morning will be sung by Lieutenant Amy Dance of the Montgomery County Fire Rescue Services.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now we call upon our President, Malia Dalton, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam President.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful. Thank you. You've beat me to the call. Let's acknowledge all of our honor guards, our pipe bands, our soloists, and finally the official band of the Maryland State Firemen's Association, the Westminster Municipal Band, as they begin their exit. Thank you.
Good morning, MSFA delegation. My name is Jonathan Dayton, chairperson for the Recruitment and Retention Committee. Have you wondered if there's ways to get involved with the MSFA even after convention? Together with the Reaching the Next Generation Committee, we've been working on a series of videos to help get more individuals like you involved with the MSFA. Over the past few months, we've interviewed senior committee members, asking them why they got involved with MSFA, what their experience has been, and why the next generation of leaders should get involved. Variations of these interviews will be available on our social media and website. But today, you have the opportunity to view these interviews downstairs at our Reaching the Next Generation exhibit booth. We encourage you to check them out. Thank you and enjoy the convention.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the mayor of Ocean City, Rick Meehan.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. Well, on behalf of the mayor and city council and all the citizens of Ocean City, I want to welcome you back to Ocean City for, I believe it's your 131st convention. Congratulations. That's a tremendous milestone to reach. But, you know, we're very excited to have you here. I'm an old school mayor, and I know this year, you know, we started off the summer season. We've had Memorial Day weekend, and we had a professional bull riding event, and we've had the air show. But as an old school mayor, I remember very well that the summer season in Ocean City starts when the Maryland State Firemen's Association comes to town. So today I'm declaring the official start of the summer season of 2023 as we welcome you to Ocean City. Your tradition as being here for so many years is something that we're very proud of. And when we talk about Ocean City and we talk about our conventions and we talk about our history, you are always included in that conversation. And I hope you always will be included in that conversation. So I know you've got an important few days ahead of you as you meet and discuss the issues that face your organization and your volunteerism, and meet all the challenges that today's world brings before us. And things are different, and it is harder to do everything we do. And I know volunteerism is something that's more difficult today probably than ever before. But I want to thank each and every one of you for dedicating your time to your communities and to the public safety of the state of Maryland. It's vitally important. I know in Ocean City we couldn't do what we do without our volunteer organization. They're incredibly important to us, and I know you are and your organizations are to each of your communities. So I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you. Also want to thank your families for allowing you to do what you do. It's a tremendous commitment, and it is a sacrifice on behalf of all family members. So thank you again. You really make a difference. And I hope that while you're here, you get to enjoy Ocean City, get to go out. I know you've already had some events, but get to enjoy the beach and the boardwalk and everything we have to offer. I know I've told you this before, but some of you might not remember that you are also sharing Ocean City right now with some of our future leaders of America. Those are the high school graduates. Senior week is now like 3 weeks, so we still have a few of those individuals here, and they really are great, 99% of them, and we entertain them as well. But if you happen to see any stragglers from your community on the side of the road looking lost, please take them home with you. We're done. So other than that, I just really want to wish you the very best with your convention, and I hope each and every one of you enjoy your time in Ocean City. I hope you get to come back often, and I sincerely look forward to greeting you same time, same place next year. Thank you all very much for being here. Before I step aside, I do have a couple presentations I'd like to make. If the presidents of the associations could please step forward. Both of you. I'm coming, she says. Okay. On behalf of the town of Ocean City, I'd like to present a key to the city to both Ben and Malaya for their services as presidents. A difficult job and something that takes an awful lot of time and commitment, and I know they couldn't do it with the support of all of you and all those that have helped them. But we realize things like this, conventions, don't just happen. They're the result of a lot of work and a lot of additional dedication. So I do have a couple presentations to make, and I'm very proud to be able to do so this morning. I do have a key to the city for Ben, President, Maryland State Firemen's Association, presented today on behalf of the Maryland City Council and all of our citizens in Ocean City. Ben, congratulations. Thank you. We can probably step out. We can step out. Let me do both of them. Malaya, the same. We were just talking about the number of years that you've served to rise to this position, how it went very quickly, as time does today. But it's because of your dedication and staying the course and being able to represent the Ladies Auxiliary of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. On behalf of the town of Ocean City, I also present you with a key to our city, and this is from all of our citizens. Thank you so much. Very special. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Want to get a picture? All right.
And for the mayor, I will present a Ocean City convention mug. One of about 20 that Mayor Meehan has.
Yeah. I will say, if you ever have a chance to come to the mayor's office at City Hall, which is always open, if you ever want to stop by, please do. And across the whole wall along the windows of my office are these mugs. And they really do signify how important this convention is and how proud we are to display these at City Hall. So thank you so much. Thank you all very much. Have a great week.
This time, I'd like to introduce the Fire Chief of Ocean City, Richie Bowers.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ocean City. Welcome to the Maryland State Firemen's Association Convention. I want you to have a great convention. Enjoy our great town. Enjoy the great fire service that we have here in Ocean City. And I just ask one thing. Do what you need to do to help, but at the same time, let our men and women do what they need to do if there's a call. That's all I ask. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. And by all means, this is a great place to have a great time with great friends and colleagues. And I see a lot of them, I've seen a lot of them already this morning, and I appreciate them, and I appreciate what they've done for me in the fire service. One of the things that I did notice is your theme this year is reaching the next generation. Please pass on what you know to the next generation. They are the future of the fire and EMS service here in Maryland. Have a great convention. Great to see everybody. Congratulations.
Chief Bowers, we'd like to also present you with a convention mug.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure I keep water in it.
We'd like to recognize some of our out-of-state guests from Delaware, President Ken Snyder, and the past president of Virginia. We don't have his name, but we'd like to recognize him. Stand up. Ken, I also want to thank you. For those of you who may not be aware, we joined with Delaware at the CFSI Gala in Washington, D.C. This past month, and the reception was a joint reception between Delaware and Maryland. And Ken, thank you and your organization for the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and the hospitality. Thank you. Yes. At this time, I'm going to introduce our main speaker for this morning. His name is Tiger Schmittendorf. He's Vice President of the First Arriving, a marketing and technology company supporting public safety. He served the Erie County, New York Department of Homeland Security and the Emergency Services, where he was responsible for recruitment, training, and operations of his county 97 fire departments and 6,000 firefighters. At this time, Tiger Schmittendorf.
I don't know that I've seen somebody sweat about the proper pronunciation of a last name in quite some time just like that. Because I did warn your president, if you're going to misspell Schmittendorf, leave out any letter but the M. That's the critical one. Thank you so much for the honor of being here this morning. Thank you to your executive director, Kate, and your president, Ben. And if you don't know, I'm actually a stunt double fill-in guest speaker for you this morning for my good friend, Chris Naum, who is rightly focusing on some first family first challenges at home and gave me the honor of asking me to fill in for him. And I certainly appreciate that. But I'm not going to talk on the subject that Chris was going to, although they will be very closely related and follow parallel lines. But I would never think that I could ever fill Chris's shoes. I just hope not to embarrass him by screwing up. So that's my goal for being here with you this morning. And they have the slides up for me. If you do know Chris Naum, you know that I am not him, and also I can't even grow a mustache, nor do I own a V-neck sweater. So that's Chris. My whole goal for being here with you this morning is simply, as I like to say, to change your hearts and your mind about the way that we look at both the challenges that we face and the solutions that are within our reach when it comes to volunteer retention and recruitment in our fire service. And what I want to share with you this morning is how the fire service is absolutely a volunteering opportunity like absolutely none other. And I need you to go away from our conversation this morning with a couple of key points. The first is, I need you to change our language. We need to keep the message positive. I need you to go away with a renewed commitment to volunteer retention and recruitment, ensuring not only the survival, but the absolute success of our volunteer fire service, not only here in Maryland, but across these United States. And lastly, as I'll share, I need you to go away with a sense of urgency. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking for many of us who have served so long in our volunteer fire service, and we need to get on with the business of not only finding, but motivating, supporting, and training our replacements. That is my charge to you this morning. Let me ask you a question. Who here is a recruiter? Let me reframe the question. If you are not focused on retention and recruitment, what are you focused on? Absolutely nothing else matters. Everything else is what I refer to as the widgets of the fire service. We can either make important and timely investments in retention and recruitment, or we can continue to build beautiful new fire stations that we can't fill, buy multi-million-dollar fire apparatus that we can't staff, and awesome equipment that will go unused. So I'll ask you again, who here is a recruiter? We all need to be in this, and we need to be in this together. But the reality is there's plenty of competition out there, right? It's virtually unlimited. As we drive through our communities, you see the signs out front. Every civic and community organization is looking for volunteers today. Does your volunteer fire department logo appear on those signs as people enter and drive through your communities? Maybe, maybe not. Perhaps a suggestion, just a simple suggestion that can change the approach and the emphasis and the focus on your department. But my real question is, who should we be in competition with for those who are right for what we do? And I would argue virtually no one. And to put it politely, you know why? Because we get to do stuff, and you can insert another S word there, we get to do stuff that absolutely no one else gets to do. Right? Think about it. In what other volunteering opportunity in our communities can you literally knock somebody's door down and they send you a thank you letter afterwards? We cut a hole in their roof, they'll bake us cookies. No other volunteering opportunity offers us the opportunity to have the impact in our communities, and most importantly, no other volunteering opportunity allows the community to have the impact that it does on us. This is a volunteering opportunity like absolutely none other. And there's a lot of things that make it very, very different. It's not just in time volunteering where you're going to fill sandbags down by the river to prevent the flooding. It's not once a month or once in a while going down to your local food pantry or your homeless shelter and feeding others. And it's also not like the National Guard where, yes, initially you volunteer, but after that you're compensated. It's different from volunteering opportunities in a lot of other ways. What other volunteering opportunity do we ask for a minimum of a long-term, but preferably a lifelong commitment right out of the gate? It's the equivalent of asking somebody to marry you on the very first date, is it not? And I don't know about you, but looking after these two, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't marry either one of them. But that's a different story. You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your, and I know what you were going to say, Joe, you can't pick your family, right? We've all heard that phrase before, we can't pick our family. I disagree in the sense that in the fire service, and especially in the volunteer fire service, that's exactly what we're doing, isn't it? What do we call each other? Brother, sister, and collectively, the people at the firehouse, we refer to them as our second family, right? I half-jokingly tell people that I am living proof that you can teach a monkey to pull a bale back on a nozzle and get water out of it, half-jokingly. But can you teach everyone to be a trusted, trustworthy, respected, respectful, contributing member of our fire service family? Not necessarily. That's a value set. That's a skill set that is totally different from anything else that we teach or train for in the volunteer fire service. And if they don't have that value set of trustworthiness and integrity and respect for others, good luck teaching them anything. But if they do come to us as a respected, respectful, trusting, trustworthy, willing to contribute member of our fire service family, there is no limit as to what we can teach them. So this is one of the ways that I want you to change your attitude today. We need to stop trying to recruit firefighters, and we need to focus on recruiting family members, because that's what we are. We will live in that firehouse together for many, many years. We will enjoy each other's company through the best of times and through the hardest of times. And we do it together. That is our greatest strength. That is our greatest tool. And when used inappropriately, it's probably our greatest weapon as well against each other. And that's where we get into talking about retention. I refer to the Maltese cross as a universal symbol for instant acceptance. You agree? You can be walking down the street in any town, village, or city in the United States, and if you're wearing this on your chest and somebody else who wears it on their chest sees it, there's an instant connection, a minimum of a nod, to acknowledge that we're in it together. But as we just witnessed here, it can either give you the keys to a firehouse or keys to the city. It's roadside assistance. It's a safe haven when we need it. And it's everything that we cherish. And we have to respect that. And most importantly, we need to teach the newest generation that they need to respect it too. I break down the term brotherhood or sisterhood or firehood, use gender generically, whatever you may call it, into 4 layers. The first layer is that branded layer. That's what we wear on our chest, and some of us even have it tattooed on our sleeve. That's the kind of brotherhood or sisterhood or firehood that maybe we share over an adult beverage, as sometimes might happen this week, right? But the reality is that sometimes it's easier to extend brotherhood to a fellow firefighter from another department, another city, another state, or another country than it is necessarily to extend brotherhood to those in our own firehouse. And that's something that we have to change. The next layer of brotherhood is core, and that's how we will treat each other within the firehouse. And establishing a baseline for human relations that we will not cross. But unfortunately, we see every day that sometimes we cross it too often. The next layer of brotherhood is what I call intrinsic. And intrinsic brotherhood says that when we're crawling down that proverbial dark, hot, smoky hallway, I will lay down right next to you. I will take the same beating and I will never leave you behind. That's what we promise to each other in intrinsic brotherhood. But the reality is many of us will never know how we react in that situation until we've been tested. And the fourth layer of brotherhood brings it all together. It's a combination of the first 3, but so much more. It's authentic brotherhood. That's the brotherhood that many of you in this room I know from experience and knowing you as friends. The type of brotherhood that we all grew up on. The type of brotherhood we were raised on. The type of brotherhood that we were taught. That we truly, truly take care of each other. Not just in the firehouse, not just on the fire scene, but outside all of that. You know it when you see it. We cherish it every day. You miss it when it's lost, and you also feel it when it's shoved in your back. But we need to get back to authentic, to real brotherhood. That's what will save the volunteer fire service in our communities, in our firehouses, and in the United States as well. And as my good friend Paul Combs does it better than anybody else, talks about how this absolutely owes us nothing. But if you devote yourself to it, it will give you everything. And let's face it, there's a dark side to what we do as well. That makes it a volunteering opportunity like none other. We are exposed to things as volunteer firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, and first responders that quite honestly no human being should ever have to be exposed to. But you know what I tell people all the time? I feel bad for those who don't get to carry a monitor on their belt or another device that alerts them that when I think I'm having a bad day or my life sucks, guess what? That little thing goes off and reminds me, shut your pie hole. You got nothing to complain about. That is not a burden, but a gift, and it's called the gift of perspective. I have had the honor of serving as the director of the Hero Tribute Project for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation for over 10 years. I was not at the last memorial, but I hope to be back next year. And in that experience, I interview the survivors, the families of fallen firefighters. And let me tell you, when you think you're having a bad day or your life sucks, all I have to do is think back to one story that one survivor shared with me during those times. I have interviewed hundreds upon hundreds of firefighter survivor families. I had a 4-year-old girl sing happy birthday to her daddy in the middle of an interview. If you want your heart pulled out of your chest, that's a great way to do it. I've interviewed more than half of the 19 Granite Mountain hotshot families, including a grandmother who spoke in the strongest Scottish brogue I'd ever heard, as she told me that she lost not one but two grandsons, 18 and 21 years old, and they found them embraced, wrapped in each other's arms as the fire went over the top of them. This is a difficult business. We focus so much on serving others, and we need to give equal, if not greater, emphasis on the people that we serve with as well. We give so much caring and compassion for those we serve, but so many times we leave that out of the equation with the people we serve with. And the first people that we need to be caring and compassionate for is us as individuals. You need to be caring and compassionate for yourself. I need to be caring and compassionate for myself, because that's the only way that we're going to survive this, and the only way that we're going to survive the trauma that we see, the things that we hear, we smell, we experience firsthand, the stuff that we literally physically get on us, is that we care and we're compassionate for each other, and we do it together. And the reality today is, despite the influence of technology, despite artificial intelligence, and I won't name names in this room, virtual reality, and all the advancements that we've made, at the end of the day, there's still no app for what we do. Our emphasis on the widgets of the fire service needs to transition on the one resource necessary to make all that other stuff work. And that's when we will start succeeding at both recruitment and retention. But it starts with an attitude, and it's as simple as this. We need to treat every single imaginable public interaction as a public service, public education, public relations, and a recruitment opportunity. And a recruitment opportunity. We have mastered public service. We're getting better at public education every day. We know we are, because we're going to less and less fires every day. And despite the thoughts of some, that's a good thing. Hopefully you have a good image and a relationship and a partnership with your community and its other organizations. But where we have not done as good of a job is identifying and taking advantage of every single public interaction as a recruitment opportunity. It starts with changing our attitude. 22 years ago, I wrote a document titled My 10 Commandments for Recruitment and Retention. Commandment number 1 is do the math. Think of our recruitment challenges in simple terms. So many fire chiefs, fire commissioners, and others that I speak to, they're rattling off numbers of how many new volunteers they think they need. Whether it's 5, it's 10, it's 20, or it's more, what you really need is one more volunteer, one at a time. Think about it, if every single one of your existing members recruited just one more member, what would be the mathematical impact on your department? I know that's high-level math, and I know it's early in the morning, but give me a number, right? It's double, right? Sometimes we get so focused we can't see the forest through the trees, right? We think of this enormous number, it's overwhelming, it's crushing us, but the reality is we just need one more volunteer, one at a time. Also in 2001, apparently I had this flurry of brain activity and not much since it, but I wrote a couple of forecasts. And I said, as the fire department struggles to be everything it once was to the community, individual firefighters also struggle to be everything that they once were to the fire department. I know that from personal experience. My time availability and also my commitment to, and actually my participation in what we do has kind of been fluid throughout the years, right? But we have to acknowledge that. We have to prepare for it, And we need to make sure that we have steps in place to help people as your participation starts to fade, not kick them off what I call the retention cliff, but instead show your members, demonstrate to your members, and support your members in building a rope bridge to the other side so that they can continue their legacy of service. But in order to win at that, we need to diversify. This forecast that I also wrote in 2001 says that we need to create more opportunities for more people to volunteer less time. More opportunities for more people to volunteer less time. And I say the math of that is the job that used to take 10 people, 10 hours a week to do, now actually requires us to recruit 20 people who only have 5 hours to give you. We need to learn as organizations, as fire departments, to be as flexible with our members as we expect them to be with us. That's an opportunity for change in what we do and how we do it. Because the reality is, nobody ever signs up to be a volunteer firefighter with aspirations of one day being promoted to bingo chairman. Right? But here's the reality. Somebody needs to be the bingo chairman. And somebody needs to be the roads and grounds person. And somebody needs to be the treasurer. And you know what else somebody else needs to be? The recruiter. I can sympathize but not empathize with the fire chief or the fire company president who says, if I had more people, I could free somebody up to focus on recruitment and retention. Losing sight of the fact that if we focused on retention and recruitment all of the time, what's the potential outcome? Theoretically, we could end up with all the people we need to do all the jobs that need to be done. I'm here to change your hearts and your minds about the way that we look at both the problems and the solutions that we face in today's fire service. But you need to have a plan. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. We've all heard that, right? And if you don't have a plan for retention and recruitment in your department today, call me. I know a guy, right? But that's part of our challenge. We haven't been planning for this situation that we now find ourselves in. We've simply allowed it to happen around us, and too many of us have simply sat back and wallowed in the dismay that it's actually happening. We haven't kept up with the times. Think of all the advancements in technology, in radio communications, and fire apparatus and equipment. But have we kept up with the same pace as with the changes in our society and our communities as it relates to volunteer retention and recruitment? Not necessarily. Because if we had, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. So let's face it. And all of that starts with changing our language. This is something that I am, to put it politely, fired up about today. We need to keep the message positive. There was a news piece that was done just a couple of years ago that suggested that the volunteer shortage in one state could actually spread like wildfire across the country like a pandemic. Could you imagine a pandemic happening in the United States? That's unthinkable. The reality, though, is, as I like to say, recruitment and retention challenges are like any other emergency. They all start and end locally. If you don't know it, we get great support from the National Volunteer Fire Council, great organizations like your MSFA, many, especially in Maryland. Your county organizations and county government is directly engaged in supporting your recruitment and retention efforts. And they can build the broad-based awareness that volunteering opportunities exist in your community. They can give you the tools and education and support to be successful at it when you do it yourselves. But at the end of the day, nobody, not the MVFC, not the MSFA, not your county organization, and not even I, can do what I call the trench work for you. That's where the hand-to-hand combat of getting them in the door and keeping them there is won and lost. That is both your responsibility, your obligation, but most importantly, your opportunity. You just need to get your head in the game. I feel sad for this volunteer fire department in Maine who put up these street signs around their community. I can appreciate the desperation that it took to put something out like this out in the public, but we need to change our language. Not only do words like this of desperate and dire and help needed, and if you don't volunteer today, we're going to close tomorrow, not only does that do absolutely nothing to help their recruitment efforts, it erodes confidence in their capabilities, and it erodes confidence in your and my capabilities as well. It's a detriment to our recruitment and retention efforts. We need to change our language, and we need to keep the message positive. As recent as this past week, there was an NPR news article where, amongst several other quotes, this happens to be one of them. But again, this does nothing to help our cause. This does nothing to help our case. We need to change our language, and we need to focus on the positive messaging. You know why? Because nobody wants to join the Titanic, desperate for volunteers fire department. We're going down, jump on board is not an effective recruitment message. And what happens too often is we're always looking at above the surface and blaming someone else for our retention and recruitment challenges. We're blaming society. We're blaming the economy. And what I hear the most, and so help me God if I hear it again, we're blaming these damn kids. Well, if anything about today's generation is true or accurate, who's responsible for that? I am, you are, we are, because we're the generations who raised them. And here's the reality, because I can tell you from experience of literally traveling around the country and spending physical time in dozens of firehouses across the country a year, there are exceptions to the rule about these generations. I know because I see them every day in our firehouses across the country. But whether it's today's generation or yesterday's generation or the generation before that, there's 5 generations in our life, in our workspace today. If any of the things we complain about the respective generations is true, you also, me also, I also have to be the exception to the rule about my generation. I can't be stuck on because that's the way we always did it. That's one of the things I need you to go away with, is a sense of urgency for getting on with the business of training our replacements. To me, the conversation, the language comes down to 2 words, need and want. 2 very, very different words. As I once again half joke, the number of people who need me in their life is an unlimited list. The number of people who also want me in their life might be a completely different list, if you know what I mean. So if you're going to use the word need, use it in this context. You need us. We want you. Think of the difference in how each of those words makes you feel. It's nice to feel needed, but it's awesome to feel wanted. And that's what we need to make our prospective volunteers, and most importantly, our existing volunteers, feel today. The need is clear. The want is not. And we need to demonstrate to them that we want them to join our ranks, and we want them to continue to serve as well. And yes, I finally actually made the t-shirts. Nobody wants to join the Titanic, desperate for volunteers fire department. We need to keep the message positive. We need to stop telling people all the reasons people aren't joining and focus on all the great reasons that they are. So when it comes to our recruitment messaging, here's the 3 priorities. Lead first and foremost with the awesome opportunities that we offer to get involved and make an impact on your community, others, and yourself. Follow up with the great benefits, whether they're tangible or intangible, and most often, the intangible outweigh the tangible. And lastly, show them how easy it is to get started, and most importantly, show them how we're going to support them every step along the way. But you have to be committed to doing that as well. It can't just be hollow words. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the requirements and the expectations. I'm a firm believer in being clear in our expectations early and often, but don't lead with it. Don't lead with, oh my gosh, you have to take hundreds of hours of training and then in-house drills and all these meetings and fundraising and stuff like that. That's doing nothing for our cause. But if we do well at selling them, giving them the bug with the first 3 line items, that whole conversation about training requirements and the other participation requirements gets a lot easier, sounds palatable, and even achievable. And you know how you prove to them that it's achievable? Point around the room in your firehouse and show how everybody else has already achieved it, despite the very busy lifestyles that they have. We have living examples every day. And we all have to remember, whichever generation we identify with, that every single thing you do, you say, you wear, and especially today, you post, reflects on you, reflects on your organization, your fire department, the fire service at large, and it reflects on me too. I take this very personally. So please, please act accordingly. And when we think about the person that we want to belong to our fire service family today, I say look in the mirror. Think of the person you would want to serve with or literally may need to be saved by, and go out and get that person. And they're there. We just have to have the willingness, the wherewithal, the commitment, and the sense of urgency to go out and find them. I'm Tiger Schmittendorf, and I approve this message. Thank you very much.
Let's give Tiger another round of applause. On behalf of the Maryland State Firemen Association, I want to present you with a challenge coin.
Awesome. Thank you.
And of course a convention mug. So let's go out here.
That's going to hold a lot of ice cream in that mug.
At this time, we're going to recognize the past president of the Maryland State Firemen Association, Robert Cumberland, 1987-1988, Thomas A. Mattingly Sr., 1990-91, Bernie Smith, 1991-92, Phil Herlock, 1993-94, George Fred Cross, 95-96, Stephen D. Cox, 1997, Carl B. Edlund Jr., 1999-2000, Roger A. Stager Sr., 2000-2001, Gene Worthington, 2002-2003, Robert Jacobs, 2004-2005, Bobby Balta, 2006, 2007. Paul Sterling, 2007, 2008. Frank Underwood, 2008, 2009. Roger Powell, 2009, 2010. Doyle Cox, 2010 and 2011. Dave Lewis, 2011, 2012. John Denver, 2012, 2013. Dave Keller, 2014, 2015. Johnny Roth, 2015, 2016. Mike Davis, 2016, 2017. Mark Bilger, 2017, 2018. Richard Blair, 2018, 2019. Michael Faust, 2019, 2020. Chuck Walker, 2020, 2021. Joel McCrae, 2021, 2022. Let's give these gentlemen a round of applause. Now on the ladies' side, I'd like to introduce the ladies' auxiliary officers for 2022-2023. President of the LA MSFA, Malia Dalton. Senior Vice President, Jean Main. Junior Vice President, Sherry Steffen. Recording Secretary, Joan Kramer. Treasurer, Christy Grinder. Financial Secretary, Holly Trago. Corresponding Secretary, Jennifer Johnson. Chaplain, Kay Trago. Vice Chaplain, Robin Shorb. Historian, Samantha Butterfield. Guard, Cheyenne Winklemeyer. The Bessie Marshall co-chairs, Lori Dembo and Teresa Chrisman. The conference co-chairs, Terry Sullivan and Donnie Deeds. Let's give these ladies a round of applause. At this time, I'm calling on Rick Hemphill for his presentation on the voting process.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, everyone. What I'm going to show you, what we're going to go through is the voting process. What's going to happen is tomorrow, voting starts at 8 o'clock and runs for 2 hours. Each person that is already registered, your company, you come back to registration. I'd recommend, if you didn't want to stand in line, probably not come quite at 8 o'clock, but what will happen is when you come back, the person from your company who's going to vote, we're going to give them a card. And that card will entitle them to get in to vote and use the software. The software is entirely used using a mouse. You don't have to type anything. It'll all be set there for you. So if I can, as you can see, the first thing that happens when you log in is it's going to ask you what county are you from. When you pick your county, because there's a drop-down box, and it shows all the counties, you pick the county that your company is from. Once you pick the company, what shows up is a list of those companies that have registered and have not yet voted. Okay? If once you vote or you're not registered, they won't be on the list. You then go through and pick your company, and that brings up a list of those. This is old test data. That brings up a list of names of the delegates and alternates that you have for your company. You have to, of course, be on that list. So one of you will go in, pick yourself, okay? And then it shows, if it's not you, you have a way to go back. Again, it's all done with a mouse. Then once that's finished, you say to vote. The only thing you're voting for this year are the amendments. There's 5 of them. First 4 deal with name change. The 5th one deals with the makeup of the executive committee. So the sides on green is a vote for an amendment. On the red side is a vote against. each company can cast up to 5 votes. So you can scroll down and pick the number of votes you want. As you can see, it pops up to 5. You voted. And then when you've completed all 5 amendments, you're going to get a list of what you did. And it shows what you voted for versus what you voted against. Okay? And then if you want to, if that looks good to you and you want to keep it, you cast a ballot. If you don't want to cast a ballot, you click quit. And when you do that, it'll bring you back to the beginning. Whoop. Yes, that's it. There we go. And that's the beginning. So that's all there is to it. It shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes for each person to vote. You're going to come back to registration. We'll give you a card, and that will take you back around to the line. So hopefully people will move through quickly, and the line will stay small. Again, if everybody comes at 8 o'clock, you're probably going to wait a little bit, but you got 2 hours, so take your time. It'll only take a couple minutes to vote. Okay? Thank you. Okay. What? That is correct. You do not have to vote for each one. You mean that's always been the case. You vote for as many as you wish to. You can vote for or against up to 5, each of the 5 amendments. The first 4 are name changes. The first 4 amendments are 4 possible name changes. The 5th amendment deals with the makeup of the executive committee. That is correct. Any others? They have to get a 2/3 majority, the same as any other amendment. If they do not get a 2/3 majority, they don't pass. They're not related. Each one is being treated as a separate amendment. Each one is being treated as a separate amendment on its own. So each separate amendment, it will be voted on individually. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying the way the executive committee voted to do it is each one is a separate amendment and will stand on its own, because that's the way the amendments were presented. Not my call. Any more? Any other? Yes. That is correct, in which case we would have a second vote. Any others? Okay. We expect to see you all tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. At this time, we will dismiss the ladies' auxiliary so you can go down to your meeting. So we'll take a few minutes to allow the ladies to exit the hall. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion for acceptance of the minutes of the 2022 conference. Is there a second? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? At this time, I call on the Rick Hemphill for the credentials report. Rick went back to his office, so we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to go into officers' reports, and I'll give you my report. My report's on page 29 and 31 of the program book. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support that you've given me this year. At this time, I will call on First Vice President Eric Smothers for his report.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Welcome to Ocean City. My report is also in the convention book, but I want to say it's been a great year traveling around the state. Been down here to Ocean City numerous times and out on some of the outer islands. And I think it's very important that our keynote address this morning, really we're going to hit on our recruitment and retention efforts going forward. It takes each and every one of us to make our departments grow. Regardless of where we are, we're all fighting for the same individuals, whether you're on the career side or the volunteer side. It's the same individuals that we're trying to reach. But if we can just reach back and bring one individual into your department, it makes us grow. Our departments are larger than one individual. We can't do it by ourselves. Even as officers of the MSFA, we need your help. We need your leadership. And I look forward to working with you in the coming year. So enjoy your convention, be safe, and I'll see you around the convention center.
Thank you, Eric. At this time, I'll call on Second Vice President Skip Carey for his report.
Good morning. My report's on page 33. I'll keep it as brief as I wrote it. Last year as the youngest, let me rephrase that. Last year as the junior president was a complete learning experience. Without the help of you, the members of our association, it wouldn't have been possible. With the three of us, we worked very hard to try to get the name change squared away with the various meetings. We worked extremely hard in the legislative area with try to get the bills and stuff through and support. Most importantly, as far as my report is to you, without your help and without, like Tiger said, without all of us working together, it won't work. It's been a pleasure to have your trust and your confidence in the last year. I met a great number of new friends, and I met a lot of old friends from the old days that we had a lot of good times. It's been a distinct pleasure to be your second vice president. I look forward to carrying on. Thank you. Was that brief enough, Tom?
Thank you, Skip, and once again, nice looking bow tie. At this time, call on the Secretary, Doyle Cox, for his report.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for the support that you have given me over the years as far as the Secretarial's office. Thank you. But one thing I need your help on is the credentials. It seems like we have a certain amount of companies that, get their credentials in right away. Then the others, it's like pulling teeth. You know, you get one here, one there. As of today, we still do not have all of the credentials in. So I know some of you have registered here at the within the last couple of days, but please, when you go back, fill out the credential forms online so I can get the information. This is needed for the proceedings book and other reports throughout the year, but I need the names of your officers and your address companies and so on. So please go with that. I asked for you. The remainder of my report is on page 33. Thank you.
For the Treasurer's report, Assistant Treasurer Bob Jacobs.
Morning, everyone. Substituting this morning for Treasurer Ron Sarnicki, who is on duty for the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation. However, the financial report for the year, the tax return has been filed with the IRS. Maryland Property Report and Business Report has been filed. Fike Connor and Associates have completed the financial review for 21-22. No major findings were reported, which is always a plus. No recommended actions, changes were reported or requested to take care of, and all counts were balanced. Since both organizations utilize the same tax identification number, what that means is the MSFA and the LA MSFA, our accounts are merged for this report. Following the convention, a new letter of agreement for next year's financial review will be executed by the treasurer. And thanks to the entire financial team for all they do for this great association. Thank you and enjoy the convention.
Financial Secretary Mitch Folk for his report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. The report can be found on page 35 in your program book, and it is part of the financial team report. I want to thank Assistant Financial Secretary Bobby Aaron for her asset inventory of all the MSFA equipment. Some dues have not been paid for 2023. I have Northern Garrett as our only member company. 3 associate members is Prince George's County Department of Fire and EMS, Montgomery County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association, and Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Department. A reminder, invoices are mailed on January the 1st. I would really appreciate it if you could get them in as soon as possible. It takes time for me and the executive committee to go around at the last minute, which we had to do this year, and get the companies to pay up. It's not fair for the delegates to come to Ocean City and find out your dues haven't been paid and you can't vote. All right, again, they'll be mailed on January the 1st. Please pay them as soon as you can. Thank you.
At this time, I call on Chief Chaplain John Long for his report.
My report's on page 37 of the convention book. I want to remind everyone that please don't wait until February to send your members' names in for the memorial service. Send them in as soon as they pass away so we can get that process so that we're guaranteed they'll be in. After February 1st, I received 22 names of people who died last year who will be recognized next year. Thanks.
For the Board of Trustees report, Chairman Doug Alexander.
Good morning. Anybody out there? Yeah, there they are. The trustees this year, our report is on page 37 of your program manual. We've paid out well over $350,000 this year in benefits to line of duty death survivors and line of duty death injury personnel from the fire service in the state of Maryland. I would encourage you, anytime that you have the possibility of a line of duty death or the possibility of a line of duty injury, contact one of the trustees and we can help you decide whether or not you're eligible, what paperwork you need to fill out if we find that you're eligible, and so forth. And if you need to read through the manual sometime, go to the MSFA website, www.msfa.org, and page down, go to the trustees page down, and on the left-hand side of the page, there's a link where you can hook into the procedural manual, and you can read in there for yourself, and you can download all of the forms necessary to file a claim for line of duty death or line of duty injury. This year we had only one line of duty death. Chief Neil Payne down Stockton family received benefits from the trustees. We've had 2 or 3 line of duty injuries, which we won't go into at this point. Thank you. And again, page 37 for the report.
For the Executive Director's report, Kate Lovelace.
Not say who. Who? Me. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure as MSFA Executive Director to welcome you back to Ocean City. I hope you all enjoy this year's convention. Special thanks to the entire convention committee team and the GO team for their tireless work to bring you a great event. My annual report is listed in the program book on page 39. Please take some time over the next couple of days to visit with the many vendors that we have with us this year. They have a vast array of items and services to share with you. We also have our MSFA SAFER Recruitment and Retention Regional Coordinators on hand today and tomorrow in the PAC lobby, the Fishbowl. They will share with you the many projects that we've been working on through the SAFER grant, including the new mentorship program guide, the high school cadet program marketing, and Maryland volunteer website tools and resources. I hope you find time to visit with them and see how the MSFA can help enhance your recruitment efforts. I'm excited that each year, each of your regions have representation now through the SAFER grant. Nicole Stottlemyre is the coordinator for the Northern region. Dale Bowen is in Southern Maryland. Debbie Kermer covers Northern region. And Mike Alfieri just joined us to assist the Eastern Shore with their recruitment efforts. And he will be attending meetings in the coming months to introduce himself. I'd like to wish each of the newly elected officers good luck in their roles this year, and I look forward to working with them and all of the committees. In closing, I need to thank Executive Assistant Lynn Hawkins. She is the backbone of everything that we do in the office in Crofton. She keeps it running smoothly, and she works also as managing the tag operations, which is not an easy feat, and as newly appointed scholarship chair, so anything scholarship related, please reach out to Lynn. I wish you all safe travels, and please reach out if you need anything. Thank you.
For the report of the Volunteer Company Assistance Fund, Joe Antoshevsky.
Good morning. The VCAF committee met 3 times in the last fiscal year. Received, approved, and processed 10 loan applications totaling $5,723,233. The committee obtained MSFA Executive Committee and obtained or prepared the submission for the Maryland Board of Public Works. All these loans were approved by the Executive Committee and the Board of Public Works. In closing, I'd like to thank the VCAF committee members for all the work they have done in the past year in approving these applications. They work very hard, and it's been a tough year. Right now, the balance in the VCAF committee is right around $5 million. So thank you, and anybody looking to purchase apparatus, the application period is now open. Will be open until mid-July.
For the report of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee, Chairman Harv Woods.
Good morning. The report of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee will be found on page 43 in your convention program book. Couple of points real quick. The committee does not make decisions on whether something goes on the ballot or not. We receive proposals for changes. We review them for conforming with the current Constitution and bylaws, make recommendations to the Executive Committee. We do not have a veto power. So whatever started that rumor, no, we don't. There's nothing missing off the ballot because we threw it off. It doesn't work that way. So I would point out that every company has both the right and the responsibility to vote. This year's voting is crucial to the future of this organization. So when the polls open, get out and vote. Vote your way, but vote. Thank you.
Now for the credentials report, Red Hemphill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Secretary reported 349 eligible companies in MSFA. 325 so far have registered at the registration. That gives a total of 1,625 possible votes. There are 23 past presidents, so that gives for a total votes eligible to be cast of 1,648. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
For the report of the National Volunteer Fire Council, past President Dave Lewis.
Thank you, President Kurtz. To the officers and members of the Maryland State Firemen's Association, my name is David Lewis, and Eric Bernard and I are proud to represent you as the Maryland directors to the National Volunteer Fire Council. We extend congratulations from our chairman, Steve Hirsch, and the entire NVSC Board of Directors and staff as you celebrate your 131st annual convention. Eric and I spent countless of hours each year as active members of the Homeland Security Committee, the Legislative Committee, Health and Safety Committee, Standards and Codes Committee, Volunteer Recruitment Retention Committee, and the Volunteer Advocacy Committee. Yeah, that's a lot. But again, there's a lot going on. Each of these is just a small representation of the many activities that the National Volunteer Fire Council does on a regular basis, representing and advocating for the importance of the volunteer fire service across America. We're proud of the many accomplishments of the National Volunteer Fire Council in recent years, such as advocacy for increases in funding support to the volunteer companies with grant programs such as the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program and the SAFER Grant Program, pushing for the infrastructure support funding, and we've still got our fingers crossed with Congress on that, for fire station construction and renovation. Representing the interest of the volunteer fire service on many NFPA standards committees, providing free training to you either through our online virtual learning network or in person at state conferences such as this. And we'll have Dave Ballard to be here to present a program on the psychologically safe fire department tomorrow, as well as holding an annual training summit, which I will be traveling on Wednesday to Oklahoma City for our training summit that's held out there each year, not in Oklahoma City. Next year, we're going to Buffalo. So expanding our support to Volunteer Recruitment Retention Committee through our Make Me a Firefighter program, and continuing our initiatives to address health and safety programs for volunteer providers, especially in areas such as cancer prevention and mental wellness program. I invite each one of you to become a part of the National Volunteer Fire Council progress by becoming a member. Inside your delegate packet is an application that allows you and other members of your department to join for just $9. That's a bargain off the normal $21 registration, but MSFA, through our own Safer Grant program, is encouraging and is picking up the balance of your membership fee. That provides you access to all the resources that I mentioned there and allows you to be part of the national movement of the National Volunteer Fire Council, and in addition gives you protection with the $10,000 accidental death and dismemberment policies. If you have any questions about the National Volunteer Fire Council or any of its programs, please feel free to reach out to either Eric or myself. So I thank you on behalf of Chairman Hirsch and the National Volunteer Fire Council and give you best wishes for a great convention. Thank you.
At this time, we'll get into nominations. We open up nominations for the office of President, and the chair recognizes Vice Chairman of the Executive Committee, Chip Jewell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Mr. President, past presidents, officers, and fellow members of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. I am honored and privileged to place the name of Chief Eric Smothers in nomination for the position of President of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. Eric has climbed the leadership ladder of the MSFA, serving as second vice president and currently serving as the first vice president. His rise to the presidency will be a historic event, not only as the first African American to serve as president, but also one of the very few who will serve as president from an ambulance and rescue company. Even though Eric has served many years as a line officer of the Brunswick Ambulance and Rescue Company, he is a certified Fire Officer 4 and qualified in Frederick County as a Chief Officer and Incident Commander. Many of you have recognized Eric over his last 36 years of service as a senior paramedic of the Maryland State Police Medevac, spanning years of service from the Bell Jet Rangers to today's Augusta Westland helicopters. He retired this year from the Maryland State Police in preparation to commit his full time and talents to serving the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service of Maryland as our president. In addition to his years of climbing the presidency, Eric has served as chairman of the MSFA EMS Committee, a member of the State Emergency Services Advisory Council, SIMSAC, president of the Frederick County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association, and chief officer of the Brunswick Ambulance and Rescue Company. He was an original medic in the Frederick County Advanced Life Support Program in the early 1980s. And upon entering the Maryland State Police, almost immediately assigned to the new groundbreaking Medevac system in our state. His career in EMS has literally touched thousands of lives throughout Maryland, no doubt serving as a link during the golden hour saving lives. His many years of volunteer service in Brunswick with his brother Andy Smothers has made a difference of EMS in southern Frederick County. On a personal note, my wife taught both Eric and Andy at Brunswick High School, now making me feel really old. Though Eric no longer flies around Maryland in a helicopter, he continues to fly around Maryland on the ground, and I can attest to it as I frequently ride with him. He goes to many county meetings and committee meetings, dedicated hundreds of hours to the men and women of the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service of our state. My fellow members of the Maryland State Firemen's Association, it is my honor and distinct privilege to nominate Chief Eric Smothers for the distinguished position of the President of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. It's now my pleasure to introduce past President Robert Jacobs to second the nomination.
Thank you, Chip. I, Robert Jacobs, along with the following individuals, second the nomination of Eric Smothers for the office of President of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. So with the individuals, as I call your names, please come to the stage. Mr. Benjamin Kurtz, President, MSFA. Skip Carey, Second Vice President, MSFA. Mr. Jimmy May, President, Frederick County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association. Mr. Andy Smothers, Chief of the Brunswick Ambulance and Rescue Company. Secretary of the MSFA, Doyle Cox. Assistant Secretary, Mr. Charles Simpson. Financial Secretary, Mitch Vogt. Assistant Financial Secretary, Bobby Aaron. Chief Chaplain, John Long. Chaplain, Charlie Barnhart. Past Presidents, Mark Bilger, Rick Blair, Steve Cox, Bob Cumberland, Michael Davis, John Demmer, Tom Mattingly, Carl Edlin, Dave Lewis, Michael Foss, Joe McRae, Bernie Smith, Roger Steger Sr., Paul Sterling, Frank Underwood, Chuck Walker, Gene Worthington. Representing the Board of Trustees, Doug Alexander, Vice Chairman Jeff Clements, and Teresa Collins. Following executive members, Steve Cox is already included, and Chip, Robbie Blankston, Robert Phillips, Ron Block, Tim Dayton, Doug Simpkins Jr., Roger Steger Sr., Lee Lutz, Randy Smith, Buddy Sutton. Representing the Frederick County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association, Mark Vasalio, John Dronberg, Rick Himes, Mike Ziegler, Keith Robertson, Mark McNeil, Gina Vanderella, April Horn Archman, Susie Nickel, Charlie Abrake, and from Cecil County, Robin Shelton. These are the individuals that are representing the seconds for Eric as president of the MSFA, and anyone from Frederick County in the audience, if you would please stand to recognize Eric's nomination. Thank you very much. Band ready? Don't know. What's that?
I think the polls was we're supposed to have a band, but they're on the way, so just give us a couple minutes here. Simple. I think they forgot to tell the band that we were here. But they're coming. They're coming. They're coming. Yep, we're ready. Okay. Hey, Dave Chisholm, I see you standing out there. Dave? Yes, sir. Graham? Kim? Debbie? D2, who that's out there? Becky? Sherry, you out there somewhere? And I want to introduce everybody to my mother and my sister, Patricia, my little sister, Tanya, down here. So get them to come up as well. Yep. And my aunt and uncle standing out there. I'm trying to see if anybody else is out there that I missed.
While we're waiting for the Westminster Band to gather and for Eric's parade around the convention hall, I do want to read the county association caucuses that are assigned. For Howard County, room 205. For Hartford Cecil Association, 204. For the Southern Maryland Association, you're in the Performing Arts Center. Baltimore County Association, Mezzanine 201. Eastern Shore Association, 201. Prince George's County Association, 202. Carroll County Association, 203. Frederick County Association, 206. See if they're ready. Westminster Band, whenever you're ready, you can strike up the band. How's that?
time that we did that.
Remember that?
That's 100 and something letters.
If you could find out who Eric's judge and tellers are.
Okay.
Chip just asked him.
Okay. Yeah, we got, because I got to read that shit.
Hold the mic down.
Thank you.
Let's go find Jackie while you're walking around. I'll be right back. We're not ready yet. We're going to call a few more times for president.
And a nomination. And then I enter. Are there any other nominations for the office of president? Are there any other nominations for the office of president? I now, yes. There's a motion by Chief Chaplain John Long, second by Financial Secretary Mitch Vogt, to close nominations for the office of president. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I open up the nominations for first vice president. The chair recognizes past president Roger Steger.
We're waiting for our candidate. I don't know where he went, but anyway. Here he comes. Hold on, the microphone's on, bud. Keep on trying. Good morning. President Ben Kurtz, First Vice President Eric Summers, officers, past presidents, and members of the Maryland State Firemen Association. I'm Roger Steger, past president of the Maryland State Firemen Association, year 2000. I'm honored and privileged to stand before you today, June 19th, 2023, at our 131st conference to nominate my friend and brother, Skip Carey, William Newton Carey to be exact, for the office of First Vice President of Maryland State Firemen's Association. While serving as Second Vice President, Skip has volunteered over 1,400 hours attending legislation hearings, partners and officers meetings, and has traveled over 25,000 miles representing your association. Skip started in the fire service in February 1966 with the Salisbury Volunteer Fire Department, and has served as president, secretary, and engine lieutenant, truck captain, first and second assistant chief, which gives him administration and operational experience. Skip served 10 years as training captain for the Ocean City Volunteer Fire Company and continues to serve as an honorary member today. Skip's wife, Jackie, is an active member and paramedic with the Newark Volunteer Fire Company and supports Skip's decision to serve as your first vice president. Skip has the support and endorsement of Ocean City Volunteer Fire Company, the Salisbury Fire Department, and the Worcester and Wycomico County Firemen's Association. And we're asking for your support to allow him to continue to support President-elect Eric Summers and their goals for the betterment of the association. I got 3 more pages, okay? So again, I ask for your support to vote for William Newton Skip Carey Jr. for first vice president of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. Thank you. At this time, I would like to call MSFA past president Bob Cumberland to second Skip's nomination along with the list of seconds. Thank you. Why don't you step there?
Thank you, Roger, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be able to read the seconds and to also second the nomination of Skip Carey, who has been a brother and a very lifelong friend of mine, and he goes back clear when he was a member of the Salisbury Fire Department. At this time, I'd like to read the list of names that also will second him. Ben Kurtz, President of MSFA. Eric Smothers, First Vice President, MSFA. Malia Dalton, President of the Ladies Auxiliary Maryland State Firemen's Association. Jean Main, Senior Vice President. Sherry Sofa, Past President Dual Cox. Reverend John F. Long, Jr., Doug Alexander, Jeff Clemens, Jeff Thompson, Tom Mattingly, Past President MSFA, Past President Steve Cox, Chip Jewell, Past President LAMSFA Teresa Ann Chrisman, Robbie Blackston, Ron Block, Past President LAMSFA Barbara Nelson, Past President Roger Stager Sr., Tim Dalton, Lee Lutz, Bobby Phillips, Ron Sarnicki, Doug Simpkins Jr., Randy Smith, Buddy Sutton, Joel McCray, Past President MSFA, Mark Bilger, Past President MSFA, Rick Blair, Past President MSA, Mike Davis, Past President MSFA, John Denver, Past President MSFA, Mike Fouts, Past President MSFA, Past President LAMSFA Sandy Lutz, John Gatton Sr., Mike Farlow, Esquire, Bill Hildebrandt, Past President Phil Herlock, Past President Dave Keller III, Past President Dave Lewis, J.J. Nanot, President of the Maryland Fire Chiefs, Buddy Swears Jr., Past President Bernie Smith, Charles Simpson, Past President Paul Sterling Jr., Dan Stevens, Wayne Tome Sr., Past President Frank Underwood, Past President Chuck Walker, Past President LAMSFA Rebecca Wharton, Harvey Woods Sr., Laura Woods, and Past President Gene Worthing. This is your seconds for Skip Carey, and we look for your support to elect him first vice president. Strike up the band. Thank you, sir.
Are there any other nominations for the office of First Vice President? Are there any nominations for the office of First Vice President? I now entertain a motion to close. Motion by past President Johnny Roth, second by Joel McCray and Mike Faust. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? At this time, we open up nominations for the office of Second Vice President. The chair recognizes Mike Stewart, President of Pleasant Valley Volunteer Fire Company.
President Kurtz, officers and members of this great association, my fellow delegates and alternates, clergy, and distinguished guests. I am Mike Stewart, President of the Pleasant Valley Community Fire Company and past President of the Carroll County Volunteer Firemen's Association. I stand before you today to nominate Charles J. Simpson, Jr. for the office of Second Vice President of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. Charlie is an active life member of Pleasant Valley Community Fire Company, serving as its current Vice President, and a life member of the Westminster Fire Engine and Hose Company No. 1. Since joining the volunteer fire and EMS service in '71, Charlie has served in various elected and appointed positions, including delegate to county and state associations. Charlie is a past president of the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association and the Carroll County Volunteer Ambulance Association. He served as County EMS Training Coordinator and Manager of the Carroll County Public Safety Training Center for 38 years, has been a MICRB Instructor Evaluator for Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute, and continues to work with the County Association in active roles on various committees. In his 40 years of active service with the MSFA, he has served as Chairman of the Executive Committee, the EMS Committee, the Executive Director Search Committee, and the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. He is currently an Assistant Secretary and serves on the EMS Committee, the Training Committee, the Data IT Committee, and the Maryland Department of Emergency Management Personnel Group. He has served on the Recruitment and Retention Coordinator Search Committee, the EMS Task Force, and the Convention Committee. As a member of the Executive Committee for 7 years, he has represented volunteers in Carroll and Howard County to the MSFA. He also represents MSFA to the MIMS Voluntary Ambulance Inspection Program. In 2018, he was inducted to the MSFA Hall of Fame. In 2020, received the MSFA Robert S. Scheimer Administrator of the Year Award. On a personal side, Charlie is retired from Bell Atlantic Telephone Engineering in 1998, and retired again from the state of Maryland in 2013 as a manager in the Emergency Management Agency. He served as Director of EMS and Chief of Dorchester County, served 10 years in the Maryland Army National Guard, and for the last 40 years has been a member of the Westminster Municipal Band. Ladies and gentlemen, I respectfully request that you cast your vote for Charles J. Simpson, Jr. for the next MSFA Second Vice President. And now I would like to introduce MSFA past President Mark Bilger to second the nomination.
Thank you, President Stewart. It gives me great honor to stand before you and second the nomination, Mr. Charles Simpson. Joining me in the seconds, President Ben Kurtz, First Vice President Eric Smothers, Second Vice President Skip Carey, Secretary, past President Dole Cox, Treasurer Ron Sarnicki, the Attorney Mike Farlow, Financial Secretary Mitch Vogt, Chaplain John Long, Assistant Chaplain Charles Barnhart. Following past presidents of the MSFA, Bobby Balta, Rick Blair, Dole Cox, Steve Cox, Fred Cross, Bob Cumberland, Mike Davis, John Denver, Carl Elan Jr., Mike Faust, Philip Herlock, Bob Jacobs, David Keller, David Lewis, Joel McCrae, Tom Mattingly, Roger Powell, Johnny Rolfe, Bernie Smith, Roger Steger, Paul Sterling, Frank Underwood, Chuck Walker, Gene Worthington. Following trustees, Mr. Doug Alexander, Mr. Tom Mattingly Jr., Executive Committee members, Robbie Blackenston, Ron Block, Steve Cox, Tim Dayton, Chip Jewell, Lee Lutz, Joel McCrae, Bob Phillips, Doug Simpkins, Randy Smith, Roger Steger, Buddy Sutton. Danny Plunkett, President, Westminster Fire Engine Hose Company Number 1. Susan Mott, President, Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association. Richard Coons, Liaison to the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association. And Marion Wareheim, past President and current Secretary of the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association. It's now my honor again to introduce the Westminster Band. Strike up the band. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the office of second vice president? Hang on. Are there any other nominations for second vice president? I now entertain a motion. Motion by Skip Carey, second by Johnny Roth. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We now open up nominations for the office of financial secretary. At this time, I call Richard Brooks, parliamentarian.
Good morning. My name is Richard Brooks. I'm a delegate from the Norrisville Volunteer Fire Company. It's a pleasure to rise before this association to place the name of Mitch Vogt in contention for the office of Financial Secretary. Mitch is a member of both the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Company and the Norrisville Volunteer Fire Company. He has served in the offices of Chief, President, EMS Captain for a culmination of 50 years of active service to the fire service. For the last 13 years, he has served as a financial secretary, doing an outstanding job for the Maryland State Firemen's Association. On behalf of the Norrisville and Jarrettsville Fire Companies, it's my pleasure to nominate Mitch Vogt for the office of Financial Secretary. To second the nomination, I introduce past President Steve Cox. Chief Cox.
Thank you, Richard. It's my pleasure to second the nomination of Mitch Vogt for Financial Secretary. As Richard indicated, Mitch has served as Financial Secretary for 13 years. He's part of the financial team made up of the Treasurer, Ron Sarnicki, the Financial Secretary, and the Budget Committee Chair, myself. We have worked very well together. Mitch is an asset to the team, and it's a pleasure to second his nomination for Financial Secretary.
Are there any other nominations for the office of financial secretary? Is there any other nominations for the office of financial secretary? I now entertain a motion. Motion by past President Johnny Roth, seconded by past President Joel McCray. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we open up nominations for the office of Chief Chaplain. The chair recognizes Fire Chief Jay Olson.
Good morning. I said I'm the Chief of Ferndale Fire Company in Arundel County, and the Ferndale Volunteer Fire Company takes great pride in submitting the name of Reverend John F. Long for the office of Chief Chaplain from the Maryland State Firemen's Association. John has held this office since being elected in 2005 and has performed the duties associated with the office to the best of his abilities. John has 48 years of experience and has held every line officer rank. He is presently serving as president of the Ferndale Volunteer Fire Company, and John has shared his knowledge of chaplaincy throughout the Mid-Atlantic region as an instructor for the Federation of Fire Chaplains, where John holds certification in advanced chaplaincy. He presently serves as vice president of the Federation of Fire Chaplains, and it is with great pleasure and pride that the Ferndale Volunteer Fire Company nominate Reverend John F. Long Jr. for the office of Chief Chaplain. Chief Roger Sager will be seconding John's nomination.
Good morning. It gives me the honor and privilege to second Chief Chaplain John Long's nomination for Chief Chaplain. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the office of Chief Chaplain? Are there any other nominations for the office of Chief Chaplain? I now entertain a motion by Joel McCrae and Johnny Roth. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we open up the nominations for trustees. As many of you are aware, with the passing of the current trustee, Terry Thompson, and also past president of the association, we have an opening for a 4-year term to complete his term, and then we'll do nominations for the 5-year term. So at this time, the chair recognizes Doug Alexander from the Board of Trustees.
Good morning. I'm Doug Alexander, Chair of the MSFA Trustees, and it gives me great pleasure today to nominate Teresa Collins for the office of trustee. She was appointed to fill her father, Terry Thompson's place on the trustee shortly after his untimely death. The MSFA bylaws say that she must run at this convention to retain the office, thus the reason for her nomination today. Teresa is a wife, mother, and dedicated emergency services volunteer who has served the citizens of Howard County and the state of Maryland for over 26 years. Teresa has served the citizens of Howard County through the Savage Volunteer Fire Company, the West Friendship Volunteer Fire Department, and briefly the citizens of Montgomery County through the Laytonsville Volunteer Fire Department. She has served in the operations and administrative positions, including EMS coordinator, secretary, and treasurer of the Howard County Firefighters Association, president of the West Friendship Volunteer Fire Department, the Board of Directors, and the secretary at the Savage Volunteer Fire Company. Her service to the MSFA has been exemplary. Teresa has served as Board of Trustees member. She served on the executive committee as a representative for Carroll and Howard counties. She has also served on numerous MSFA committees, including the Residential Sprinkler Committee, Recruitment and Retention, and Transportation Committees, just to name a few. Teresa is truly an outstanding and dedicated leader in the emergency services community. Today, I ask that you help the future of the MSFA by joining the Savage Volunteer Fire Company and the current MSFA trustees in supporting the candidacy of Teresa Collins for re-election to the MSFA Board of Trustees. And now for her seconds, I'd like to bring on stage Roger Steger.
Good morning again. It gives me the honor and privilege to nominate or second the nomination for Teresa Collins for the Board of Trustees, along with past presidents Steve Cox, Mike First, Mark Bilger, Doyle Cox, Phil Herlock, Bobby Jacobs, David Lewis, Joel McCrae, Paul Sterling, Chuck Walker, Frank Underwood, Bobby Balda, Rick Blair, Bob Cumberland, Dave Keller, Johnny Roth, Tom Maddenley Sr., Bernie Smith, Gene Worthington, and Carl Edelin, President Ben Kurtz, First Vice President Eric Summers, Second Vice President Skip Carey, Treasurer Ron Sarnicki, Executive Committee members Buddy Sutton, Chip Jewell, Ron Block, Tim Dayton, Lee Lutz, Bobby Phillips, Doug Simpkins, Randy Smith, Robbie Blackiston, and the following members: Wayne Toon, Hugh Owens, Teresa Chrisman, Nancy Cox, Eddie Woods, Laura Woods, the Savage Volunteer Fire Company, the Lisbon Volunteer Fire Company, Ellicott City Volunteer Fire Company, Mountain Area Volunteer Fire Department, and Winfield Volunteer Fire Company. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the office of trustee for the 4-year term? Are there any other nominations for the office of trustee for the 4-year term? Can I entertain a motion to close? Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? I got more people on the stage than out in the audience, really. At this time, we open up nominations for the office for the 5-year term. The chair recognizes past President Mike Faust.
Good morning. My name is Mike Faust. I'm a past president of the Maryland State Firemen's Association, also a member of the Sudlersville Volunteer Fire Company. On behalf of the members and officers of the Sudlersville Fire Company and myself, I'm truly honored to nominate Robbie Blackiston for the office of trustee. Robbie told me to keep it short, not go through a list of credentials, but I will tell you about this I call him a young man. He's extremely dedicated to the fire service in Maryland, and he has felt firsthand the impact of having a trustee come to your fire station when we lost our fire chief 14 years ago. So Robbie will be a compassionate and a dedicated member of the trustees, and I'm truly honored to nominate Robbie for the office of trustee. Here to make the seconds is past President Chuck Walker.
Thank you. It's an honor to stand before you to second this nomination. We also have a list of other seconds. Queen Anne's County Fire and EMS Commission, Kenton Queen Anne Association, President Ben Kurtz, First Vice President Eric Smothers, Second Vice President Skip Carey, the following past presidents: Bill Herlock, Gene Worthington, Stephen Cox, Roger Steger, Dave Lewis, John Denver, Doyle Cox, Joel McCrae, Bob Cumberland, Robert Jacobs, Mike Davis, Tom Mattingly Sr., Paul Sterling, Frank Underwood. Executive Committee members: Chip Jewell, Tim Dayton, Bob Phillips, Buddy Sutton, Lee Lutz, Doug Simpkins, Randy Smith, Ron Block. Board of Trustees: Doug Alexander, Jeff Thompson, Tom Mattingly Jr., Jeff Clemens, and Teresa Collins. Also Wayne Tone. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the office of trustee for the 5-year term? Are there any other nominations for the office of trustee for the 5-year term? I now entertain a motion. Motion by Mark Bilger, second by Johnny Roth. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? At this time, I'll call on past President Roger Steger for the location of the convention through 2028. Past President Roger Steger.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to have the 2028 convention in Ocean City. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second to Roger's motion?
Second.
Skip Carey is seconding the motion. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, I heard that, Johnny. At this time, I will read off the tellers and judges for the respective officers. For President, Charlie Abrick and Susie Nickel. For First Vice President, Sandy Lutz and Skip Bunning. For Second Vice President, Jeff Geining and Bob Cumberland. For Financial Secretary, Rusty Leftwich and Tim Dayton. For Trustee, Doug Alexander. For Teresa Collins. And for Robbie Blackstone, Chuck Walker. At this time, Reverend Harry Hetz for the benediction.
Let us rise, please. Gracious God, as we come to this recess, Father, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance upon this association throughout this convention, Lord. We ask for your mercy and guidance as we discuss this business that we need to address, the elections and all the voting that's going on, the other issues as well. Father, there are many that need a touch of healing, and we just lift them before you for your mercy and your grace over them, that you would reach out and touch them with new strength, new hope, new vitality. Surround those that are grieving, Lord. Just be with them and bring comfort and peace and give them a new sense of your presence with them. Dismiss us now, refresh us with food and the other things that we do. We give you praise and thanks for all things. Amen.
At this time, we'll recess till 12:30 for the second session.